I searched the Bible and I found 10 money principles. The first one is simple. Do not have a hoarder's mindset. Okay, so these are people who do not want to part ways with money. You want to gather it all up for yourself. That is not a good mindset for money. God does not want you to collect just for yourself. He wants you to be ready to get rid of it at any time. Because guess what? You can't take it with you anyways when you leave this earth. The basis for this principle can be found in Luke chapter 12. From verse 16, you will read about the rich fool who had a big harvest, and he was thinking to himself, I'm going to store this up for myself. I'm going to relax, eat, and just have merry. But then God took him that night. Okay, so God does not want you to hoard money for yourself. The second principle is this: pay your tithe. Okay, a lot of people don't think that we're supposed to be paying our tithe as Christians, and I'll talk about that here soon. In Leviticus chapter 27 verse 30, God said here, a tithe of everything from the land, whether grain from the soil or fruit from the trees, belongs to God. Enough said on that one. The next principle that I've learned about money is you should always think about yourself as someone who is literally working for God. Like God is the owner of that money and I'm just like a manager. Okay, that's really important, I think, when we think about money that way. The verse that I found to support this is from Matthew 25 in verse 23. Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Come and share your master's happiness. Okay, so this whole idea of you are just a servant of God. He's giving you these resources and this money and you're just managing it for him. I think that's a very important mindset to have. Another example actually could be found in Genesis when God created Adam. Remember, God took him and he put him in the Garden of Eden, right? And he told him to work and take care of this thing that he's created. Right? So think about it that same way. God has put you in the place that you are right now and he's giving you all these things, but it's not actually yours, it's his. And then later on, he's gonna come check on what you did, as his employee. Principle number 4 is this: you have to be diligent with your finances. You have to be diligent with your finances. You look no further than Proverbs chapter 12, verse 24. I'll read it for you right now. It says, diligent hands will rule, but laziness ends in forced labor. That's like an incredible verse. So what I did was I actually went to Google and I looked up what's the definition of diligent. I've heard of it before, but I'm like, what is the actual definition? Okay, so diligence means having or showing care and conscientiousness. Okay, that's a tricky word to say. Conscientiousness in one's work or duties. And so I said, okay, let me go look up what conscientiousness means. And it actually means wishing to do one's work or duty well and thoroughly. What does that look like? It just means that you have to actually care about your finances. So that could mean making sure that you are on time, making sure that you have integrity while you're at work, making sure that you don't procrastinate, budgeting, don't overspend, like just these little things, okay? Because you cannot say you desire for God to bless you and this and that, but then you are not being conscientious with your finances. All right, so the next principle is do not ever make money from cheating or being dishonest or deceiving or stealing from people. Proverbs chapter 13, verse 11a. So just the first part, it says, dishonest money dwindles away. In all of your business dealings, always make sure that you're being honest and upfront with people. Okay, be credible, be honest. Do not have a reputation of deceiving or cheating people to make money. The Bible says that if you make money through dishonest means, it's going to dwindle, and dwindling means it will diminish or it will lose strength or size or amount. Okay, so that's that principle. The sixth principle is from Proverbs chapter 13, verse 11b. Whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. Okay, that one is pretty clear. The principle that we're getting here is stay away from get rich quick schemes. Okay, if you're the type of person who wants to make money fast and you just want it so big and fast, like right now, that is not a good idea. In fact, the opposite of growing might happen to you. You're gonna lose a lot of money. Okay, and that's normally what happens to people who are trying to make money fast. How many people do you know who lost all their life savings because they tried to take some kind of gamble? For me personally, that just means be patient. Okay, keep working on the different skills and different ideas that I have going on. Even if it's not like paying off like right now, just be patient. Just grow little by little. If you grow little by little, it actually helps you focus a little bit better, and you're able to make adjustments and tweaks to your strategies and to whatever you're doing. And that's how you're actually going to be able to help your business or whatever grow. But if you're just rushing and trying to make all this money fast, you're not even going to have time to make any adjustments because you're just going to lose everything at once. The seventh principle is this, and this one is really important. Godliness is not a means to financial gain. A lot of people are trying to follow God or do kingdom work because they think that they're going to make a lot of money out of it. Okay, and it's very easy to slide into this mindset. A lot of it is really due to the kind of preaching and teaching that some pastors are spreading out there. Okay, a lot of people are making people think that following God is just all about how their pockets can multiply. Okay, and that is a dangerous thing to teach, because people are going to think that they're going to follow God because he's going to just bless them, and that's the main reason behind their actions. And that's not good. We are supposed to follow God because we love him and he loves us, and he will do anything for us. In fact, he would go as far as sending his son to die on the cross for us. It's all about the relationship. That's why we're following God. We're not following God because we're trying to get something from him. If you are guilty of this mindset, you need to repent from that. Okay, God chooses how he's going to distribute resources. Okay, you can follow God like diligently and still not be wealthy. That is the raw truth. I know a lot of people, especially back home in Nigeria, that they followed God. They were so dedicated to the church, but they're still poor. And they don't care. They're still following God because they're not following God because of trying to get rich. You know what I mean? So make sure that you're not following God for financial gain. Principle number 8. Do not fall in love with money. In 1 Timothy chapter 6, from verse 6 to 10, especially in verse 10, you hear the very famous line, "For the love of money is the root of all evil." Okay, you got to read that chunk of verses from verse 6 to 10 to really get the context of it. It talks about how when you love money, it's very easy to now start dabbling into unhealthy desires and unhealthy actions where you start doing whatever possible to make money. It makes it a little bit harder to follow God if you love money, because you're going to be chasing money and chasing all the good things that come from having a lot of money. So you have to ask God to help you to not fall in love with money. In fact, there is a financial markets trader that I watch every now and then. He says this. He says, always think about money as a thing. Okay, it's just a thing, a paper that people put value on, and then the value of that paper is what gets you other things. Okay, that's it. Like, just think about it just that way. Don't attach any emotions to it. This is something that I've learned recently, and it's really changed the way that I view money. Actually, it's helped me make some decisions that I would not have made before. For example, being able to risk money to invest, right? Bottom line is, you need to think of money as an external thing that you will not fall in love with, okay? So that you can actually focus all your love on God. Principle number 9, this one is kind of underrated, and it's this: always try to seek wisdom and counsel when it comes to money. Okay, a lot of people like to operate on their own wisdom. You want to do it all by yourself. Okay, I know I'm guilty of that sometimes. It's just pride. We don't want to ask someone for help. We just want to try to figure it out on our own so that we can have this like heroic story of trying to figure out, how to make money on our own. But in Proverbs chapter 20, verse 18a, I'll read it out for you here. It says, plans are established by seeking counsel. Okay, there are different translations for this, but basically it's saying if you want to succeed, you need to seek counsel from people who have the knowledge that you need. That's the fastest way. In fact, I've heard people say this: it's the fastest way to learn and succeed financially. And that is just by getting into a circle of people who have that knowledge. The 10th principle, and I think this one is my favorite one, and that is always try to find ways to multiply God's money. I found this one in Matthew chapter 25, verse 27. I'm going to read it for us here. It says, well then, you should have put my money on deposit with the bankers, so that when I returned, I would have received it back with interest. Learn how to invest God's money so that you can multiply it for Him. Okay, don't just keep your money stuck in the savings. Okay, try to find a way to multiply it. But the one thing that I need to mention here, as you are trying to multiply God's money, there is an exception. You can multiply God's money by investing it with bankers, but don't try to take advantage of the poor, people that you know, and you're trying to take advantage of them and try to get them to pay you interest. That kind of multiplication God doesn't like. I found this in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 8, and there's actually other verses that talk about this as well. It says, whoever increases wealth by taking interest or profit from the poor amasses it for another who will be kind to the poor. Okay, I'm gonna add a bonus one, and this one is actually pretty cool, and it's try to stay away from debt. I know that could be a really hard thing to do, especially in a country like the US, because of the way the economy is set up. A lot of people, have to use debt to take care of certain needs, but you need to stay away from it, or try your absolute best to. Here is the warning from Proverbs chapter 22, verse 7. The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is slave to the lender. So right when you borrow that money, you're now technically a slave to them. Okay, so you basically owe everything to them until you pay that money back. Now, the reason why debt is dangerous is because a lot of people may not be able to pay it back. Okay, which is why they become a slave to the lender. Okay, in fact, in Psalms chapter 37, verse 21a, it talks about this. It says, the wicked borrow and do not repay. So when you take out a debt and you have no plan to repay it, or you don't have a good plan to repay it and you're just taking the debt, the Bible is saying here that technically that's wicked. Okay, so if you're gonna take out debt, you just need to know that you better have that money ready and you have a plan to repay it. I know that some people use debt to like make investments and they multiply the money and then they pay back the debt. I get it. Okay, but just be very careful, because what happens if you're not able to repay that debt? Now you're a slave to the lender. So if you're able to operate without debt, try to go that route. Or if you are an expert, I guess, at using debt to make more money, then you have a very clear plan to repay that debt. That's fine, as long as you're okay with the risk of possibly not being able to repay that debt. So you got to use wisdom. I hope that these principles can actually help transform the way you view money. Thank God for giving us all of this like principles. It's in his word. Okay, so I'm glad that we were able to find them, and I hope that you actually go study them a little bit more on your own, using the verses and maybe even doing your own research to find even more principles. Okay, because there's probably more that I missed. In fact, if you know some extra ones, put it in the comments so that everybody can see. But if you enjoyed this video and if it helped you in any way, I hope that you will stay and come back for another video in the future by subscribing so that you can actually see the future videos. And obviously like, because it helps the YouTube algorithm. And that's my way of multiplying God's resource. Okay, if God has given me this knowledge, I want to multiply it by sharing it to as many people as I can. I will see you guys in the next video.